Okay, Darty, you can hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like I'm out of the screen.
You can go over to you. Well, it might be your left. I'm not sure. I can't tell because,
I can't
yeah.
do that because I don't want y'all to see.
You might have to switch to
Bro,
this other
I
platform.
had this
But I'm about to
camera.
move out the way, so it should be good
Okay,
when I move
I'm
more.
about to say I had this camera so perfect, bro.
It should be good once I move out this the screen.
Can you hear my
All right.
music?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Can you hear me over the music?
Yeah, you sound good. All right, you guys. So today we have Darneesha Morris, which is a sister of mine, a friend. She is the founder of Minnow, which she can introduce some more and tell you guys about. It's a great movement for the kingdom of God. And it's something that you should be following. So I will be sure to put that link in the comments as well. Tonight, she's going to be talking about functioning while being depressed and giving us some tools and some keys to get over depression and to stop just going through the motions and actually getting step free and healed. So, Darty, you have the floor. I'm about to move myself off and I'll be back.
Alrighty. But hi guys, as she Minnow. Basically, Minnow is a movement to bring in healing and wholeness. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this camera together for healness and wholeness, and just encouraging people in the Word. So today, I will be talking about depression, but I will be talking about functional depression. And I would like to say that this is something that I have dealt with over my course of over the course of time. I have dealt with like functional depression, and I'm going to give you some keys on how to overcome functional depression, and I'm also going to explain a little bit of my testimony, be as transparent as I possibly can. So, Father, I just thank you for this time in your presence, God. I magnify your name. I give you all the glory and honor, Lord. You are holy, God, and I thank you for moving within this conversation, God. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so mental health, guys, is very, 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 very important. There are many forms of there are many forms of depression, but we're going to be focusing on functional depression. And I was doing research. I'm sorry, guys. I was doing research about depression, and it's actually called persistent depressive disorder, or PDD. Basically, it's someone struggling with PDD and experiences many of many of the symptoms of depression, but less severely. This allows a person to be able to function mostly normal, going to work or school, performing well, keeping up with the responsibilities at home, and engaging in most social activities. To the outside, to everybody on the outside, everything seemed fine and dandy. But basically, we really struggle internally on the inside where nobody kind of really notices. Some of the symptoms that you possibly could go through, I went through some of these symptoms here, and I'm going to read them to you. Basically, it's decrease of appetite or overeating. I dealt with overeating, asomnia or oversleeping, lack of energy and fatigue, low self-esteem, difficulty concentrating and making decisions, feeling sad and hopeless. So a little bit about my testimony, guys. I dealt with functional depression basically my entire life. I went through, well, when I was younger, from the age of 7 to like 12 years old, I was molested by a family member, and that was very traumatic for me. And then growing up in like my adult years, well, my teenage years, I was in like an abusive relationship, so that made my self-esteem go lower. And just being compared to family members and whatnot also caused me to just internally go in on myself. So basically, with I'm sorry, I'm trying to center myself. So basically, with functional depression, you how do I explain? Internal. You can go to work, you can go to church, you can do all the things, but inwardly when you go home, you just down. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to move. It's kind of hard getting out of the bed to even go towards activities. We also kind of taught functional depression because, like, when you growing up in the black culture, I can say from what I have noticed in the black culture, we always want to sweep things under the rug or never address the emotional feelings that we have in our family household. That's very dysfunctional, very much dysfunctional in our households. Like for me growing up in my family household, we never talked about how we feel. We was always taught to keep going, keep pushing, just suppress your feelings on how you feel down. And that's not healthy because as you realize, as you continue to get older, as you continue to grow, these feelings that you have suppressed now when you was an adolescent or a teenager, it's now just going haywire. Now it's just like everything is just blowing out of proportion and you trying to figure out what is this and where is this coming from. And that's basically from the household never ever 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 bringing anything up, or what stays in this house stays in this house. You don't go out telling people our business, and that's very traumatic. Just imagine, just think back when you guys was younger and you just something's going on with you very traumatic and you have no outlet. You have no outlet, you have no one to talk to, because if you try to talk to someone about what you're going through, you're going to get in a whole heap of trouble. A lot of trouble, which don't make sense. So, which we need to stop doing now. Well, we are generational curse breakers. This is something that we together need to work on with basically expressing our feelings. Because those suppressed feelings will cause you to implode in on yourself, will cause you to feel low self-esteem, will cause you to not want to do anything, think you're worthless, or you can't push past certain things. So we have to address that in a nutshell. Over the time with traumatic events that usually happen, we usually push down. They usually go in like the back of our mind, and we really don't try to focus on moving. We focus on moving forward instead of addressing the traumatic feelings that we done had. We also need to stop doing that. Like if something traumatic happened, even recently, if something traumatic happened, you need to address that feeling that you're feeling at that point of time. Because if you don't, initial, initially, it will come back up if you don't start addressing your feelings. I would recommend that you journal how you feel. If something is going wrong in your feelings or something you feel like it's something off, just journal how you feel. I'm telling you, journaling helped me a whole lot. So with me in 2018, I started my healing journey. I started my healing journey in 2018, and I can say that my healing journey was a doozy. It was very, very hard to address certain things, certain areas in my life, because I was so used to not addressing anything. I was just used to, okay, well, it happened, just keep it moving. It shouldn't affect me. But in all actuality, it does. So I started my inner healing in 2018, and this is a continuous journey. This your healing. continuously continue going. It never stopped because there's so many things that we would need healing from. Trauma affect the way we think. Trauma affect the way we move. Trauma really alter our entire being. Trauma alter our entire being. And with trauma altering our entire being, we think it's normal that we go about doing certain things a certain way, but all actuality is not. Basically, it's your trauma speaking. And this is how trauma leads into functional depression because we taught to just keep it moving, keep going. It's no point of talking about the past. It's no point of talking about your feelings. It's no point at all. We must deal with the past. That means we have to stop and think and process these things through. And I can tell you that it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me. It actually hurted. Initially, when I started my inner healing journey and I went through it with D Reed, when I went through my inner healing journal with D Reed, and certain stuff started to trigger and certain stuff started to come out, I ran and I said, whatever, I just live. This is just how I'm gonna live. I didn't want to deal with going back in time to address certain areas in my life, like my molestation. I didn't want to deal with that. Nobody want to go back and deal with pain. But I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you this for a fact. If you go back and deal with your pain, you will begin to realize that certain areas in your life and certain things that you did or certain things on how you maneuver is speaking from the trauma. It's not, it's You're speaking from the trauma, from the certain things that you went through. So this is why it's important for us to heal. This is why it's important for us to address these issues. The first thing with inner healing is acknowledging stuff. That's the first key right there. The first key is acknowledging your trauma. It's acknowledging, okay, this is what made me feel this way. This is how I react, and this is why I react this way. The first thing is acknowledging. And once you can acknowledge that, okay, this is something that I need help in, this is an area that I need help in, everything would begin to piece together. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be easy. No, it's not going to be easy. It would get better, but you sitting and telling someone, oh, matter of fact, let's get on that. It's important. You can talk to somebody. Therapy is key, bruh. Therapy. Don't try to deal with certain stuff on your own. Talk to someone who's a therapist. It's nothing wrong with going to therapy. In our culture, from what I have observed and what I have seen, and in my family, therapy. What you need therapy for? They say the only other races need therapy. We don't need therapy, and that's messed up right in itself. We need to talk to somebody professional to be able to maneuver through our trauma. Some of us went through a lot of trauma events, dealing with your family, dealing in relationships, friendships, whatever you went through, dealing with your trauma. I telling you, please talk to someone. Don't feel like you're ashamed to talk to someone just because of what your family said or what, oh, black people don't have to go through therapy. Because then now we have to deal with this stuff on our own. And then we don't have the keys to deal with stuff on our own. And then that leads into depression. That leads into suicide. That leads into I hate myself. I don't want to live. All because we we didn't have an outlet. You have to identify your thinking patterns. You have to address your thinking patterns when you're trying to heal, because our thinking patterns is based off of how our upbringing. Our thinking patterns is based off on how we was raised and the culture we was in and the environment that we was in. We have to address the way we think. The Bible tells us, so as the man think, so is he. So therefore, we have to address the way we think. Because if we don't address this, our mental capacity, if we don't address our thoughts, we will never be able to move forward in our healing. That's right, Delsha. We do need to learn new ways of thinking, because the how we were brought up is kind of messed up. Well, I can say for me personally, how I was brought up and how I was raised, my thinking pattern was shot. And that's why I thank God. I literally thank God for truth. The truth will set you free. I literally thank God every day for the word. If I didn't know God, I'm telling you guys, I would be like super duper depressed from what the stuff that I've been through, the traumatic events that I've been through, especially if if you go in on yourself, if you implode on yourself. I don't express myself all out. I usually express myself inwardly. I used to express myself inwardly. So then I go in on myself. I used to go in like, oh, I hate myself. I'm not pretty. I have no worth and all of that. So this is why we got to address those thinking patterns. Because once we begin to think new, we can see new, and we can be able to move forward and do things new on how God intended us to be. We also need to watch our emotional responses to things, because most of the times with emotional response, it's basically we're responding from trauma. We are responding from trauma because this is all we knew. So we need to, okay, why did I respond that way? What in me made respond that way? Like I literally challenge now I literally challenge all my thoughts. I literally challenge, okay, well, why am I acting this way? What's in me that causing me to act this way? Why is I'm responding in a negative way? Why do I get so defensive when people are just trying to tell me something about myself that I don't see, that I can change? Why am I getting defensive? Oh, that's just the way I am. But it's really not the way you are. Trauma just formed you that way. We also have to watch our behaviors and stuff like that, which basically is your emotional response. That is right, Miss Monique. Clouded vision. So this is why it's important for us to heal. Because if we don't heal, we're going to continue to live this tainted life. We're going to continue to live behind the lens. We're not going to be able to fully get to ourselves. We're not going to be able to fully live. We're not going to be able to fully have peace if we don't hone in on our trauma. We have to hone in on it. And that's how we'll be able to move forward. And then we can identify, oh, depression is trying to sit in. Like, I was preparing for this. Yesterday, I was preparing for this. And my friend Nika called me. And she was like, how you feeling? And I was like, I don't know. I just feel meh. I don't know what it is. I just don't want to be bothered. I'm not in the mood. I can't pinpoint it, and I just feel mad. And literally, y'all, I was laying in the bed, and I just didn't want to move. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, what is this? My feelings was an indicator that something was finna go wrong. Our apostle always tell us that our feelings are indicators that something need work. Something is gonna happen, and you need to check it now. So I was on the phone with her, and I was just like, I don't feel like talking. I'm just not in the mood. Like I was like really attitudey yesterday, and I was just not in the mood. So she called me. She had to get into our church for her live, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like getting out the house, right? So I got out the house. I was like mad. I didn't, cause I just didn't want to be in the mood. So I went and opened up the church, and then I came home. And when I came home, my room was kind of junky. I didn't feel like cleaning up. I didn't feel like doing nothing. Like legit, depression was really trying to sit in on me, but I wasn't gonna allow it. So I took a bath, and I'm like, Jesus, what is this? I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm crying out and I'm praying, and Jesus was like, depression is trying to seep through. What I need you to do when you get out of this tub is clean your room and clean the bathroom, and then get in my presence. So that's what I did. I got out the tub, I cleaned my room, and I cleaned the bathroom, and I got in his presence. And let me tell you, when just by me being obedient to God, because I could have just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna lay down. But just by me being obedient to God, it lifted. It lifted. So it's important that we be obedient to God too, regarding our feelings. If something is going on, you know your body, you know everything that's that's inwardly going on. So if something you like, oh, this feel off. Something ain't right. That's telling you something is trying to seep through. That's telling you, okay, let me stop thinking process of what I need to do so I don't allow this emotion to dictate how I'm going to move throughout the day. So this is literally the keys that literally help me, like journal. Y'all, I'm telling you guys, get a journal. Get a journal, a binder, a notebook, some paper, whatever it is. Get a journal, write things down. Write how you feeling. Write how your day went. Just write it down, write it down, write it down. And then when you write it down, you gotta get to the nitty gritty. You gotta start asking yourself hard questions. You have to start asking yourself hard questions like, okay, God, I feel this way, and I need to know why I feel this particular way. You have to literally start asking yourself hard questions, because you don't ask yourself hard questions and continue to push your feelings in the back of your head, you will never be able to fully live. The Bible tells us in Galatians 5:22, verse 23. Everybody know that verse, fruit of the Spirit. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. I literally wanted to experience love, joy, peace. I was really after joy and peace. So this is why it's important that we sit down with a therapist. If we have somebody we can go to, talk to a therapist. There's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist. You can have Jesus and a therapist, okay? It's nothing wrong. So if someone in your family told you, oh, you don't need a therapist, but yes, you do, because you want to become whole, you want to become healed, and you want to get out of this state of mind of, let me just move forward without addressing how I really feel. Stop suppressing your feelings. There's nothing wrong with explaining your feelings. Stop suppressing them. Because as long as you continue to suppress the feelings, you will never be able to move forward. So this is the steps that I took. I started my inner healing journey in 2018. It's 2021 now. My inner healing journey is continuous. It's a own based thing because I've been through so much. I have to uproot all the things that I've been through. You have to uproot all the things that you've been through. You have to uproot it so you can move forward in God. So you can have that joy that the Bible talk about. So you can have that peace the Bible talk about. It's an ongoing journey. I've been on this journey for 3 years. 3 years. And the first year was hell. The second year was hell too. But you know, I'm on my third year. It's hell, but it's okay. It's okay because now I have keys, now I have steps, and now that I address every feeling that I'm going through, I challenge every thought that I'm going through. Y'all might say, "Oh, you're doing too much." I'm not doing too much. I lived with my trauma. I just turned 33. I lived with my trauma for 32 years of my life. So I don't feel like that I would be doing too much on the stuff that's helping me become free. So you guys, whatever it is that you need to do to help you become free, to help you not feel like depressed, to help you continue to move forward, I would recommend that you do it. But it do start with healing. It starts with healing. So guys, that's literally all I have to say regarding this subject. I would like to go deeper within the functional depression, but as for right now, this is all I have to share as for right now. So God, I just thank you for this time in your presence, Lord. I thank you, Lord, that you're coming against the spirit of depression now in the name of Jesus, God. I thank you that you're uprooting the spirit of depression, God. I thank you that your fiery hand is over every single person's life on this live, God. I thank you that you're giving them keys. I thank you that you're giving them insight on how to move forward in you, God. I thank you that you're healing them from trauma, oh God. I thank you that you're showing them the steps on how to become free from their past trauma, oh God. I thank you that their trauma will not hinder them from moving in you anymore. I thank you that it will not hinder them, God, because you are the God of truth, God. I thank you that they are accepting truth, God, and they are moving forward in your presence, Lord. In Jesus' name, I praise your mighty name. Amen.
Thank you, Darty. I really appreciate it. That was really good. And thank you for the keys that you gave to us as well. Because it can seem so simple. It can seem very simple, but a lot of people don't know to journal. They don't know to challenge their thoughts. And I'm going to into that just a little bit to go over what you said. So I really appreciate you for getting on here and doing that. And if you want to do a part two, I mean, you're always invited to come back.
Oh, no problem. Do anybody have like any questions or anything?
Right.
I don't know.
If they come up on the side, I'll put them on here if I see any come through
Okay.
while we chit chat real quick.
All right.
So some really good things that you said. To be careful to not go in internally on yourself. And I realized I used to do that a lot. I didn't start learning about suppression until I got a lot older, and I just thought I was a quiet person. But the truth was, like, my voice was muzzled. I felt as though what I had to say wasn't really important, and um it wasn't okay for me to speak on the things that were hurting me because we just didn't talk about it at home. Like, my parents never said, "Hey, we can't talk about this," but we never talked about it. So to
Right.
me, that means it's not okay to talk about these things.
Right.
So what happens is, like you said, you go in on yourself. Like everything happens inside and you implode and you have all these crazy thoughts and nobody knows that you're breaking down inside because you don't know how to vocalize these things.
You know what? You said something so powerful. Like you thought that you was just always this reserved person. Um,
Mm,
Listen, I was literally thinking like that the other day. I'm like, well, dang, am I really reserved, or is it just the trauma speaking that made me reserved?
girl.
So it's just like mind blowing now that we are going through our healing and be like, well, am I really reserved? I don't know if I'm really
Mhm.
reserved because that's all I knew
Right.
was to be reserved is because of the trauma.
That's good. That is the absolute truth. And I wish we have to do another one, but we would talk about that some more because there are so many people who they say, "Oh, I'm so shy," or I'm just nervous, I'm scared, and it's like that's not your personality. That is a spirit that is trying to get you to keep quiet and to not open your mouth. And you're thinking because you've grown up that way that it's really you, but it's not.
Ain't at
Not even close.
all.
It's not. That listen, girl. The
I
fact
was
that you
there.
even sat and said, is this really me or is this somebody else?" Like,
Listen, I was like, I literally was sitting here like, wow. I literally started going through my entire life. I'm looking like, well, dang, am I shy? Am I reserved? Or is this is just something that the trauma taught me how to be? Is this something how I was raised on how to be? Like, bruh, it was
that
so
part.
mind. I was like, well, maybe I am this happy-go-lucky, extroverted person. I just don't know her.
That part, girl, listen, that's a whole nother video. That's good.
Right.
That's so, let's just stay here for just 1 minute. That's so good because I remember being younger and I would always just sit, like I was really quiet, but I wasn't always comfortable with being quiet. There would be moments when I wanted to say things, but it would always felt like something was holding my mouth or holding my throat, or I just could not yell or do these things that show that I actually had a voice. And I really had to sit and look back and really think like, okay, when did I become this quiet person? Because I used to be really goofy and I'm still goofy now, which a telltale sign that you probably are more extroverted than you think is when you're comfortable around specific people and you feel free, you have a voice, you're silly, you're goofy, you're over the top. And people don't
I
see that
agree.
unless they get comfortable with you or you're comfortable with them. And I really had to go back into my past and be like, okay, I noticed around trauma that's when Dale shut down and became this person who was not expressive, but only through writing. Like I felt free through writing or through the way that I dressed and stuff. And thankfully, God uses those things now. But just combing through that stuff, like you said, so that you can tackle it and not allow the enemy to have any more room in your voice. It's a full-time job,
Oh,
legit.
God, legit, it's very full time. Like you literally have to start challenging your thoughts. You have to start challenging, oh, why I act like that? Because if you
That
don't,
part.
you won't be able to move forward. Because, like I said, we think the stuff that we do is normal.
Right,
Like, no, like, why did I respond like that? That didn't even need a response like that. Why am
right.
I acting this way? You know, it's something that it's necessary that we do. I'm like so big on healing because
Mm-hmm.
healing it makes healing who you used to be expands the person that you need to be, bro.
Listen,
Going like Apostle told us, go back to that 5-year-old girl, go back to that 7-year-old girl or boy, and pull them up out of the pit.
yeah, absolutely.
Listen, you'll be amazed
Mm-mm.
at the stuff that God shows you. You'll be amazed at the stuff that you like and that you
Right,
initially thought that you didn't like.
right. That's so good. That's so good. Ooh, that's good. Another thing you said is if you notice it's hard for you to get started. So what I heard when you said that is trying to get up in the morning or even yesterday when you had that feeling like I just don't want to get out the house. There was nothing wrong with you
Mm-hmm.
before, but you realized like this heaviness came over you to where you didn't feel the strength to keep going. And when you got back home, God's like, clean up your atmosphere, change, your room up, clean your room up, just move around. And a lot of times when it's hard for us to get started, that spirit is trying to get back on us. And if we just lay in the bed all day, and I know sometimes this is a clinical thing, so you probably, sometimes we need more help, or some
Yeah.
people may need more help. But if it is, you notice that it's a spiritual thing, like get going. I notice sometimes I feel really heavy and I'll be like, okay, there's nothing going on right now. So where's this coming from? And God tells me, go outside, go drive to the beach, go sit by a body of water. And every time I do that, I feel so much better because I have to get into a space that's freeing, that's clear, that, we know that principalities and powers are over certain areas. And I
Right.
don't think we even pay attention to that. Sometimes you could have been feeling something from a neighbor next door
Right.
just because you're in a specific place. So getting out of your comfort zone and moving somewhere else so that you're able to just have a breath of fresh air, cleaning up your room, doing something productive, a lot of times can break that depression as well before it takes root.
That is true. Yeah, I cleaned up. I needed some order. I needed order in
Yeah.
my I needed order, and I needed a place where I would be able to seek God space, like in clearer,
Mm-hmm.
like in a set atmosphere, because my room was kind of junky. I didn't finna sit here in front. My room was
Right.
junky, and I just, how when you cleaning up. I don't know if this is for everybody. When you cleaning up and you just clean up and your room just feel bigger and it's just like a
Mm-hmm.
breath fresh of air. Bro, I
Yep.
had to do it because I knew if I would have just laid there, I probably would have been like, yeah, Day, I can't do this lab because I'm not
Yep.
feeling. I'm not. I'm not feeling. I'm not feeling right. But it's important that we hear the voice of God. God will always give you a way out. He will always give you instructions on
Mm-hmm.
what to do so this spirit won't try to overtake you.
Exactly. That's so good. And it's so true. And even what you said with seeking God in a clear space, a lot of times I think people don't realize it matters. It may seem like, okay, he's just a spiritual being, but it's like you're inviting him into your personal space. Don't you think it should be in order? As much order as you can get it in at that moment, but put it in some type of order. So it matters. It matters with what you're thinking on, what you're seeing. That stuff plays a huge effect on your personal being. And yes, that's so true. It's a way of escape. You need a way of escape.
Right.
Listen. Another thing you said was to allow yourself to have an out. Remember when you said that, allowing yourself basically to have a voice and to stop suppressing things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw when you said that was us remembering that we are now adults and we have the permission to use our voices and to stop suppressing everything and to
Right.
tell our stories when we felt led to tell our stories, but knowing that we don't have to be afraid of what so and so will do if we choose to speak on what happened or what is going on right now, because God did not call us to be suppressive. He called us to tell our testimonies, to be honest. Now you want to do that in the Lord's leading so you are prepared for whatever warfare may come, but God gave you a voice for a reason, and it's to help other people. It's to even help yourself through situations. But if you're still suppressing things, you're not going to get free ever.
That is so true. Like I had to, like when I was going through my inner healing, I actually went home in 2018 and told my mom and my father about my molestation with my
Mhm.
cousin.
Wow.
When
How
I
did that turn
tell you that was the most I was so nervous. I didn't know how they was gonna take it. I didn't
out?
know if
Mhm.
they was gonna believe me. I didn't know if we was gonna, strap up. I'm like, oh God. So I prayed about it. And I told them. They were hurt and upset, but we moved forward in the healing. I had to, for me personally, I had to tell it.
Yeah.
That was a layer of my healing.
Mm.
Most people can't or won't even try to tell your parents, I was molested by such and such from this time to this time.
Mhm.
So when I told my parents, it was so freeing and it was so liberating, and I healed. That was another layer of healing for myself. That is something that I had to do. I had to acknowledge it and I had to address it. I had to address, like, yo, this is what happened in my adolescent years.
Right. That's good. I'm gonna get to that too because you said something earlier. I'm gonna get back to that. Well, I guess it's here. Addressing the trauma and not just running forward. And when you said that, it's like you just choosing to skip over all of these roadblocks and act as though you're just going to be able to continue walking forward, not realizing, or even with realizing that you have all of these weights on you. You can only go but so far. And all of these weights are getting stuck in cracks and crevices because you're not addressing them so that they can be removed from your life. So it's so important, like you said, to address the trauma and don't just try to run as if there's not anything heavy holding you down because you're not going to get that far, if anywhere. And like Darty said, healing comes in layers. It comes in stages. If you don't remove one layer, the next layer is still going to be there, and you're not healing the way you think you are just because you're able to continue moving forward.
Right.
Forward movement does not mean you're really moving forward. Sometimes you're moving in the same place, and it
That
just feels as though you're moving forward and you're not going anywhere.
that's a cycle.
A whole cycle.
It's very important that you address it, address your past, so you can move forward. So the layer, so that can break off of you. It's very, very.
Yes.
If I can stress it, it's very important because if you don't, you can continue to move forward. But guess what? You still gonna go. You still gonna have those feelings of feeling down. You still gonna have those feelings of low self esteem, like self hate and all of that. That's
Hmm.
why it's important not to just move forward and throw things in the back of your head or sweep it under the rug
Yeah,
because it's still gonna manifest.
it is. And I'm happy you said that because it's going to show up in people. You're going to have the same type of relationships, keep drawing the same type of people. Those issues are going to continue popping up until you address them and really fix that area of your life. You're going to be wondering, okay, why do I keep drawing these same type of abusers or abusers in my life? Or why do people keep talking to me like this? Why do I always feel like this? Because you haven't addressed the trauma.
That is
The
true.
next thing you said is another thing is to acknowledge your trauma, not to sleep on therapy, to talk to a professional so that you can maneuver through your trauma. And like I put in the comments, there's times where we aren't able to see things that are going on with us, and we don't see it as toxic or something a negative personality trait because, like we said earlier, we grew up with it, so we're thinking, oh, this is just how we are, or it's okay for me to be like this. It takes another set of eyes and hands to tell you, hey, you do this, or why did you just say that? That is not something that is healthy to say. So why are you speaking like that? So that you can hear from another source that you may have some toxic traits. We always like to put the toxicity on other people, but sometimes it's us. Sometimes we're the ones who have the issues. And when we remove those sound voices out of our ear or we don't allow them in, we're saying we don't want to change. So
Right.
you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable with somebody and transparent with somebody so that you can get the necessary healing. And thank you. I can't see your name or anything, but thank you for the comment.
Right. Yeah.
Um, go ahead.
It's very important that you do allow people in to, because like you've been living with you for your whole life, so of course
Right.
you're not going to see certain things, certain toxic traits. um our apostle always say close relationships like bring stuff out of you,
Mm-hmm.
like, so recently my one of my friends was like, Darty, you always you always do that. I forgot what she said verbatim, but she was like, Darty, you always do that, and I tell you this and I tell you that, and you always do it. And then I used to just like whatever, da, 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 but now it's like, okay, that is something that I need to address.
It is. Listen,
That is something
allow yourself
I need
to
to
be
address.
bold enough to hear the words that aren't as soothing to your soul. That is when you're able to heal. And hey, Elder Catherine, I thought so. I was like, I see that excellent. And not a lot of people say excellent, but I wasn't sure if that was her. But hey, Elder Catherine.
Hey, Elder.
I just have a few more things and we're about to get off. You said to pay attention to the environments we were raised in, the families, their characteristics, their mannerisms. Those things, listen, those things matter. That goes along with us being raised a specific way and thinking, oh, this is normal. It wasn't until I moved to Tampa really that I realized, okay, my family has some issues. Listen, a whole bunch of families have issues, and you grow up thinking, oh, this is just the way of life, or their family's that way, mine's this way, and that's just normal. But the
Yeah,
truth is, so many of us have some dysfunctional families. I think, who was it? Eddie Griffin, he had a comedy stand up once, and it was called Dysfunctional something. But that's when my eyes open like, yeah, everybody's family has some type of dysfunction. I don't care how amazing your parents were, your brothers and sisters were, it doesn't matter. You had something there that has to be addressed.
that's true.
Listen, that's the word right there.
That is so weird.
Just because your mom and them did it does not mean it was okay. Listen. I was
That's true.
thinking about that last night. I was talking to somebody and I'm like, you're making something normal just because your family did it. That's not normal. Like these parents that want their children to struggle and get it out the mud. We're not supposed to be out here struggling. That's not normal
Period.
at all. So those are things you want to challenge. Like, why am I thinking like this? Why do I want my children to struggle because I struggle? What type
Right.
of parent does that?
No.
Embrace the truth and you'll find freedom. Challenge your thoughts. Journal, which is another huge one that you said. That, listen, that is a major key. Writing down the things that you may be feeling, things that you're expecting. You'll always have a reference point to go back and say, you know what, I've come this far. Or just to go back and say, this can encourage me now.
Right.
So writing down the things that
Ve-
are on your heart.
Writing it down is very important. It also is an outlet. You're not
Yeah,
holding it in. It's writing it
exactly.
down is an outlet. You're not just holding it in. So that, yeah, journaling is very 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 important.
That's
Very.
good. That's really good.
And
It definitely is an outlet.
it was a comment on there. Just because your mom and them and daddy did it doesn't make it right, baby.
Mhm.
Listen, I'm telling you, you have like legit. If you just sit and listen to your family, you will realize. You will
Mhm.
realize stuff that you like. Oh, that's very dysfunctional. And stuff that
Right.
you didn't even think was dysfunctional. You'd be like, oh, that's dysfunctional. I need to change that because that is a trait that I do.
Mm.
That is a habit that I do. Those generational curses. Oh
Yeah.
no, it stops with me, baby. That's why I'm so gone home on healing. I'm so gone home on healing, bro.
Yeah, it's necessary. It really is. And the last thing you said, well, you spoke about this in it, but I just wrote it down as a question. And you said that you were dealing with that trauma for 33 years. And the question that I wrote down was, how long have you lived with your trauma? And I wrote that down because looking at how long you were bound in something is going to show you the level of healing that you're going to have to go through. And I really hate when I hear people saying, okay, she dealt with being raped when she was at the age of 3. She should be over that by now. But you don't know that she was being raped from 3 to 24 by her stepfather every time she went over there.
Right.
And that level of darkness that's in her soul is not going to come out in 3 days just because she did
No,
that trick at the altar.
it's not gonna come out. It's a process. It
It's
takes
a
time.
process.
You
Yes.
that's very traumatic. Like it takes time. Yeah, I may be 32 years old, but if I didn't have the keys or the knowledge to get in to try to heal, how would I know that I need healing? I
Right.
if I don't have these keys, if I don't know I need healing from it, how do I know to heal? So
Mm-mm.
I literally that get on my nerves too. Oh, you grown now. That shouldn't bother you, but it does. It
Right.
bothers me, and I'm working on it. Okay, but it bothers me. And
Exactly.
there's nothing wrong with being in the process. It's nothing wrong with being where you at now. Most
No.
people try to rush you through healing. No, this is my healing and I'm going to take it a day at a time.
Yes.
Because when you are addressing certain things, when you are addressing certain things, that don't no, it don't take no hour. When you're addressing certain things, that stuff hurts.
Yes.
It hurts when you are addressing certain things. And some things you be like, whoa, that's too much. I have to come back to it. So it's continuous.
Mm-mm-mm.
Maybe
That's good.
certain stuff you address, whew, that crap hurt, bruh. Literally, you be sitting in tears. No, you healing, but it hurts. And it takes time. It takes time to heal. Nobody's healing process is the same. So we
Right.
should compare our healing process. No one's healing process is the same.
Mm.
Everybody heal at their own pace.
That's good. That's another good point, not to compare your healing to anybody else. And Dosha said some things require casting out and some things require counsel. And I love that because even after the casting out,
Hmm.
you may need to sit in that and go through counseling. Just because it was casted out doesn't mean your soul does not still have a void that needs some type of counseling so that you're going to know what to feel in that space and knowing how to allow yourself to heal. Just because it got casted out does not mean that the work is done.
Ooh, damn, that is a powerful point. Listen. Oh my God. She said just because it's cast out, you still gotta go through healing in that area.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh my God, that is so powerful. Just because I went through deliverance from something. Dale just said it. If I don't have anything to feel what I just got delivered from, guess what? Them dang on things coming back and they bringing seven more friends.
Okay.
Seven more friends. So yes, it's important that you go through deliverance, but it's also important that you go through healing as
Yes.
well, so you can get keys on how not to get back to that place.
Yes. Maintaining.
Yeah, you gotta maintain your deliverance, baby. Legit.
That's listen. That's all the notes I have. And that y'all, thank you for your feedback in the comments. Darty, thank you for your transparency and providing the keys. I really do hope that you take the time, like Elder Catherine said, or I don't know if that may be another user as well, to really look at your deliverance and your healing process and allow them to work together, but also know that they are two totally different things.
Oh yes, they are.
Two totally different things. And finding the keys to maintain your deliverance. So, and your healing, not just the deliverance, but your healing so that you don't have to go through deliverance again. Because when you're going through deliverance, when you're going through healing, those things are going to try to come up. People are going to say some crazy stuff. You'll say some crazy things to yourself. And if you're not careful, you will run right back to those things that you know created the damage in the first place because that's all your soul was used to. It's kind of like what's that, like what is it, like muscle memory or something like that, where it's used to operating a certain way,
Mhm.
so because that's its norm it just falls right back. Like you get braces, and if you take you don't wear your retainer, your teeth revert right back to what it's used to because it was so used to being in that state. In
Right.
order to make sure you don't allow things to fall back into those states, you have to find out how it looks to maintain your healing and deliverance for your life, not for mine, not for Darty's, but for yours. Because what worked for us might not work for you.
Right.
And make
Right.
sure you have accountability. Make sure you are willing to be transparent and honest and vulnerable with somebody that you know is not going to take what you share with them and spread it out to everybody. Because a lot of times people get a hold of your story, and because they told your story and you weren't the one to tell it, that's another trigger that makes you want to go back to what was, because the enemy uses whatever he can. So be intentional with your healing and your deliverance. Darty, is there anything you wanted to share before we got off?
No, just be intentional with your healing and your deliverance. If you have your feelings are indicators that something is need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, get a therapist. I really do recommend that you get someone. It don't have to be a therapist, but I really do recommend that you get someone to help you walk through your healing.
Yeah.
But
We all
that's about it that I have to say. I mean, if you have any questions, if you have any questions directed like towards me, you can write me in my inbox, Darneesha Nicole, or send them to Dale. Um, but if you have any questions or anything, I'm here to help. I can go like further into detail of exactly what I do and how I do it.
thank you, Darty. I appreciate it. Yes, y'all. Hit her up in her inbox if you have any questions. Follow her on Minnow. The link is up in the comments a little bit further. And oh, she has a conference coming up too. Can you tell them a little bit about that?
I do. I do have a conference coming up. This is my first conference. I'm so excited. It's called Becoming. The conference is called Becoming the Fight from Within. We're going to be basically focusing on identity, healing, and wholeness. Just, helping people become unstuck. Like if you ever felt like I would never move past this point, um, we're going to give keys and tools on how to get past a certain point. I mean, I was there. I'm literally walking through the journey of becoming
Yes.
the person God intended me to be. So it's free if you guys want to be on my Minnow page. It's free, and we're going to have a powerful time. So you guys should just come on out
Yeah,
to
it's
the
gonna
conference.
be amazing. I'm excited. I'm really proud of you. I could go on and on, but I'm not gonna do it right now. But I'm really proud of listen, I'm proud of you, Darty. I really am. And finding your voice, you stepping out, you allowing God to use you with the red lips. Like I'm just here for it all. So thank you guys again for coming on tonight. Thank you for being interactive. Oh, sorry, y'all. I just saw the content. I mean the comments. Um, for being interactive. And next week, if I don't have anybody else that will be speaking next week, I may be on here. I don't know yet. We're going to see. But if not, then it will be someone else. So that will be up in this week, so y'all will know who's going to be speaking. We do have the kayaking trip happening next Saturday, which I am so excited about. And then, of course, the conference happening, well, the retreat happening next month. So I love you guys. Like Darty said, if you have any questions, you can reach out to her or you can send them to me. Y'all have a great night, and we will talk to y'all soon.
Good night.